There are certain images in this movie. Yeah. So The First Omen is the newest installment of the Omen franchise, this one actually being a prequel to, well, Richard Donner's The Omen. In The First Omen, we follow an American woman who is sent to Rome to begin her life to the service for the church. However, as her time in Rome grows, she encounters a force of darkness, and a rather terrifying one at that not only causes her to question her faith, but at the same time, to make things even worse, she uncovers a conspiracy that just might bring the birth of evil incarnate. Alrighty guys, so let's get into The First Omen.
Excellent!
Richard Donner's The Omen is a film that I really like a lot. It's not one of my favorite horror films really, but it's a movie that, do I understand why it's a classic in terms of the genre? Absolutely. That ending shot of Damien looking right into the camera, giving you that grin, is one of the creepiest things I have ever seen. I have actually never seen any of the sequels. I have seen clips of the second movie, but that's about it. But I know of what happens in the third movie, and yes, the fourth movie, and I have seen the remake by John Moore, which is one of the worst horror remakes I've ever seen. Seriously, guys, do not see it. I actually had no idea that they were making this film until I was at the movies with my girlfriend, and we saw a trailer to this movie, and we both were looking at each other going like, that actually looks really good. But still, here's the thing, and as y'all can imagine, knowing how I felt about the Omen franchise altogether, I kept thinking to myself, why is there a need for this movie when we already have a great original first movie? I still watched this movie with an open mind, and guys, I am very happy to say that The First Omen, I really enjoyed this movie. Are there things I have to say a bit later on? Absolutely, but this is a film that surprised me. There is only one performance that I must talk about, and that is Nell Tiger Free. By the way, that is a badass. I just want to mention that right now. Nell Tiger Free gives one great performance, and she is a star in the making, absolutely. There is a certain sequence in this movie where she has to only rely on her movements and just noises, and it's an unbroken shot. And this sequence, honest to God, did unnerve me. And this movie, I hope, is her breakout role. Not only does she do a really good job of commanding the screen, but I really like the story that this movie does take her character on. One of the things that I absolutely loved about The First Omen was the directing by Akarsha Stevenson. As far as I'm aware, I've heard that this is her directorial debut for her feature length. I thought she did a great job, because here's the thing, guys. When you're walking into a franchise that, besides the first movie and every other movie, hasn't been great, that has met the greatest of that first film, I can only imagine the pressures that she was facing while making a new movie in that franchise, let alone a prequel movie. And I thought that our Akarsha Stevenson did a very good job of not only respecting the original's legacy. This is a movie that you can clearly tell that the filmmakers not only have a lot of respect for the original film, but they really wanted to make a really interesting character-driven movie, which I thought they did pretty well for the most part. But one thing in particular that I really liked about her directing is that she keeps the visual identity and the overall tone of that first film. There's just this whole vibe that you get as you watch this movie where you kind of feel uncomfortable as things start to be revealed to you. One thing in particular that I really liked about The First Omen is how this film just feels very old school in terms of its filmmaking. Not just about the shots are composed, which, by the way, beautiful cinematography. I mean, there are quite a few shots where I just went like, okay, that's a really cool shot. But also in the way how the movie feels all together. And also the score composed by Mark Corbin, I thought was a very unsettling score and a very unnerving score. There were times where generally I would like this. Jesus. Would I call The First Omen a particularly scary film? Not really, but here's the thing. If you've seen the original Omen, you all know that the original film isn't really a scary film either, like I mentioned you guys earlier. The original film, more than anything else, is this very eerie movie with some freaky stuff in it. While this movie doesn't really come close in comparison to how freaky that original first film is, the first one still nonetheless retains the very eerie feeling. And are there some freaky things in this movie? Oh my god, yes. This movie is a prequel to the original Omen. How they do certain things to make connections, I thought was actually pretty cool.
Well, that's just fucking great!
The movie wasn't great. In fact, there are some things I have to say about this movie. Going on to my biggest criticism of this movie, and that is that the first Omen is it is very predictable. Some of the major plot points this movie before they happen, like moments before they happen, I was just going like, okay, that's gonna happen, this is gonna happen, okay, come on, it should be very obvious what's gonna happen right here. And as well, the big mystery of the film, no joke guys, I called it within the first 20 minutes of this movie. Even though I found this movie pretty predictable, I still found myself enjoying this movie really quite a bit. Not to mention as well that this movie has Ralph Ineson and Bill Nye. These guys are big stars in my head, and the two of them aren't really given that much to do in this movie. Let's talk about the film's ending, to which, by the way, no spoilers, do not worry. The film goes in a certain way, and when it cuts, I felt like, okay, let's end it right there. But then it keeps going, and it goes into a final couple of minutes that legitimately didn't need to be there. Was this part really needed? No.
And here we go.
So overall, as a person that walked in really skeptical, I walked out really enjoying the first Omen. While the first Omen is pretty predictable, nonetheless this movie retains that eerie feeling in the first movie as a really nice character-driven story with some freaky as hell moments, and it does do some really cool connections to that original film. And I also thought that our Carson Stevenson did a really good job on her directorial debut. I want to see more from her. All in all, I'm going to give the first Omen a 3.25 out of 5. If you're looking for a really eerie film, and if you're a big fan of that original first film, I would definitely seek out this movie. Predictable, yes, but at the same time, it is respectful and it is a very well done prequel. So comment down below and let me know. Are you guys looking forward to the first Omen? Are you not looking forward to this movie? Let me know below. If you guys want to follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm also on Twitch. So if you guys want to follow me on all those social media platforms, all the links and the usernames are in the description below. I hope you enjoyed my review of the first Omen. If so, please hit that like button, also subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell for my latest review goes live. If you guys want to see my previous 2 reviews, please click right there or right there. And of course, until my next review or video goes live, I will see you all next time.